Alright, so we're a little farther out in the woods now. Got some bigger wood to do a little better of a comparison. The stuff back at the house was, I don't know, maybe 10 inches. This, call that at least, it's 18-inch bars, so almost a foot and a half. Figure probably 14, 15 inches. Now it's not the best wood. It is a little punky, I suppose you could say. Natural fall on this tree. I cleaned it up a little bit, made myself a little bit of an area. Reiterate, got a Jonsered 2159 turbo here, and then a Stihl MS271. Jonsered has a 20-inch bar with a 3/8 chain. The Stihl has a 18-inch bar with a 325/063 chain. Both full comp, both full chisel, both single hump drive lengths, both hand filed by me. Rakers have been taken down appropriately. Both running moto mix, both of the same generic bar oil. I mean, bar oil is bar oil as far as I'm concerned. Excuse me. Stihl's 50 cc's, Jonsered's 60 cc's. Both great, reliable saws. Both fairly straightforward in operation. Both relatively low maintenance. I mean, you got to do maintenance on your saws. You can't just, do nothing to them and expect them to work all the time. And I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, cutting cookies is not an accurate test of a saw. I don't really have the means to drop a whole bunch of trees because, well, all the big ones they already fell over. These small suckers around the property started stealing sunlight from all the big trees a little while ago, and the big trees just kind of rotted out and got blown over. So, more weight to them, less sun to them, root systems weakened up. Most of the ones I've seen either tore straight out of the ground like this one or cracked off. There's actually one right there, probably 2.5, 3 feet off the base, off the ground, just snapped. I mean, that's not a small tree by any means either, at least for around here. So, anyway, I know cutting cookies ain't a great comparison, but I mean, I'm not really a big faller. Just got some firewood here and there, so. One thing I forgot to mention earlier is the Jonsered from the factory came with a catalytic converter on the muffler. The only thing I did to it was I put a $10 Chinese muffler on there that's non-catalytic converter, a normal muffler. Didn't do any mods to it, haven't ported either of them. They're both practically bone stock, so. Alright, let's do, you know what? Let's do a down and an upcut. I'm not going to go for, down, up, down like all the cool race guys do. I'm not a cool race guy, so. There's a Jonsered. Like I said before, she cuts pretty good. I like her a lot. Here's a Stihl 271, 50 cc's, farm and ranch, yada yada. like I said, this tree's not in the best of shape. It's been sitting here a good long while, but I mean, she's not rotted out all the way through by any means. She's still all there. So, you know what? You're in kind of a weird spot, but let's see if we can throw some noodles real quick. The Jonsered, I've noticed, doesn't really get bogged up because you'll notice on the chip chute of the clutch cover on the Stihl, you got a lot of coverage here. It's very good at directing chip flow. But when you're cutting noodles, she gets stopped up. Jonsered, I mean, you're almost, I mean, you got that much depth to the top of the cutter. It's just an open bottom. Everything just kind of flies out and does what it wants, which is great for cutting noodles, but it gets kind of messy. Then again, chainsaws ain't exactly a super clean thing regardless. So anyway, you might get a view of my butt, but you'll be all right. That's what I mean. Get stopped up, and you got smoke and steam and crap coming off the saw because it's getting hot. So you gotta come in here and pick all that junk out. It's just a mess. No, she's still stopped up. So, yeah. I'm not going to do any more of that. You see, we almost went halfway through. You know, did all right. John, you ready, boy? See how she likes it. I mean, she still gets stopped up, but not anywhere near as bad as the Stihl. And you can probably see a little bit of smoke or steam or something coming out of the log. I don't like cutting like that. I don't have a big use for it other than seeing what the saw does, but shoot, we got enough stuff to fill it right here. Between what's on top of the log and all that. They both cut noodles real good. Nice surprise at the Stihl. Thought you'd do a little worse, but yeah. Both great saws. Great saws. I would suggest if you don't have money for a 261, say get a 271. 311s and 391s are boat anchors. They're heavy, not a lot of power. And once you get into the 362s, that's a lot of money. So if you're just doing firewood, 261, 18-inch bar, just go to town. If you don't have a Stihl dealer, I'd say definitely stick with Husky. Do not buy a Husqvarna from Tractor Supply or Home Depot because they're not the same. If you're going to get a chainsaw and you're going to use it hard, find an actual dealer. That way you can get part support. If you're not a real techie guy, you know, you can get help with working on them. If you buy a new saw, like a 500 if you're just made of money. Then definitely find a dealer, because I mean, I've seen the inside of those things, and they're going to be a real treat to work on when they start having problems. Anyway, let's finish up with a couple more cuts, I suppose. Yeah, why not? I like cutting stuff. Let's do the 271 first. And finish her off. Oops. 2159. Hope she doesn't catch on fire. That'd suck. Yeah, I know I did more cuts than 2159. I just like her. Real smooth. Better anti-vibe than what's on the Stihl, even though it's an older saw. Jeez. Better anti-vibe, more power, better chain. Although the 271 is wearing a Stihl Rapid Super. The Jonsered here is wearing a Oregon, I forget what it is. It's a XLT something. I don't know. Real nice chain though. Cuts real good. Real hard on the file, these teeth. They're tough. They're hard for sure. I mean, yeah, you can see it. She cuts great. Cuts like a bat out of hell. Or, as I've heard, like a scalded dog. I've never scalded a dog, but I imagine they'd run pretty quick. So, yeah. You know what? Let's show you guys the inside. Pardon my grab. You're just phone on a stump right now. Alright. So, if you're familiar with Huskies, this will look real familiar to you. So you got a latch here, a latch there, and a latch, come on son, right there. Yeah, sorry about the light, my back's to the sun right now. It's about noon, but it's winter, so the sun's kind of low. Anyway, to get to the guts of her, all you got to do, 1, 2, 3. And this comes straight off. There's your air filter. Real easy to take off. Flip that down, pull it up. There's your air filter. Okay. Easy as that. Now, if you're familiar at all with pull-ons, the newer ones at least, the big ones, This might look kind of familiar to you. More Husqvarnas. Husqvarna was bought out by Electrolux. I forget when, but it was some time ago. And they bought, along with Husqvarna, they bought Poulan and Jonsered. So they all more or less look the same. They have some differences, don't get me wrong, but they're very similar. If you're wondering what the turbo is, I can't really take it off, but I don't have the tools, but behind your recoil housing, there's a, you can't really see it all that great, but this guy right there, that thing, that's actually a shroud that goes over your flywheel. So as the flywheel spins, it's a pre-filtration system. So it throws the really big chunks away from your air filter. So your air filter only has to deal with the real fine sawdust. Nice feature, sounds kind of cool. Turbo, more power, and it's red, so you know, car guys know if your car is red, it has an additional 5 horsepower from the factory. Science, it's proven. Excuse me. Put top cover on, slap it on, 1 clip, 2 clip, 3 clip, you're done, off to the races. The Stihl is a little different. So you got a screw here, and you should have a screw here. I'm missing mine, not a big deal. 2 out of 3 is better than none. And to take these off, I mean obviously it's a, hang on, I'm trying to do this one. There we go. That was a bit snug. I don't have a T27 on me, I wish I did. These screws are either a flathead, like on your Scrench, or T27 Torx, like, you know, if you have a, hang on, right? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, flathead or a T27. Alright, so that's loose now. And then, chain brake on, give you more room, lift straight off. Now this is not the stock air filter, it is an OEM filter, but it's the heavy duty filter, the HD filter. The stock filter that comes on these, I don't know if they still do it, but the stock one that was on here looked like this, but it was a fleece wrap, like what you saw on the Jonsered. But take this off, it's a turn, and off it is. Real simple, real easy. It's not as open as the Jonsered by any means. Spark plug is right here. Pull this little tab, this little pull right there. Take your plug wire off, and you can get your plug out. Yeah, this does not have any fancy pants pre-filter system. It pulls air from, where does it pull air from? Now that I think about it. Okay, it still pulls air from your flywheel area, but it doesn't have any pre-filtration nonsense. So, I mean, you don't really need it. It's a little bit of a marketing gimmick unless you're running like a concrete saw. Like pre-filtration systems are, I mean, they're nice to have, but they're not super important, at least from what I've seen. Yeah. Okay, let's get this all buttoned up. Ooh, chain tensioners. That's a big hit on the Jonsered. Chain tension on that thing freaking sucks. I hate it. So, on the Stihls, let's get her up where we can see her. On the Stihls, you loosen these 2 bar nuts, and then there's your tensioner. And, you know, righty tighty, lefty loosey, right? Your adjustment screw does not move. It stays in the same spot. It is separate from the actual stud that shifts your bar back and forth. On the Jonsered, I don't know who the hell came up with this idea, but I don't like it. Same deal. Loosen your 2 bar studs, and then in here, there's your tensioning screw. And your tensioning screw is the same, it's also your stud that goes through your bar. I don't like that. It's burnt, it's elongated the adjustment holes in this bar. So, I mean, you can see it only has, you know, that much more travel until it stops. Now granted, that's plenty of travel to get your chain tension. That's probably a little tight for some people's liking, but you know, I don't mind it. It doesn't fall off. It's fine. So yeah, I got to get a new bar at some point, or just JB weld and re-drill it, or do some other hillbilly nonsense to it. You will also notice this blue button. It's a decompression valve. So you push that in. Now, let's make sure she's off. Now you have, oh God. Now you have very little compression on your pull, on your starter rope. Makes it easier to start. Once it fires, that button kicks out like that. So there's out. So now it's full compression, and I mean, it's got a lot. Let's see if we can pick it up. Oh jeez, sorry. Oh, bad knees. So, quick and dirty compression test to see if your saw's worth saving or not. Make sure it's off. Whatever system you have for that, if it has a decompression valve, make sure it's closed. And then, see if you can pick the stall up from your starter rope. You see how it kind of chugs down? That means you got plenty of compression. If you pull it and it just goes whoop, your piston and jug are shot. If the saw is worth rebuilding, rebuild it. For most saws, you can get a China kit for cheap. I mean, here's a Stihl, and same deal. You can pick it up and it choke. There's a compression stroke. Compression stroke. Yeah, it's got plenty. Overall, if I had to pick one, focus. If I had to pick one, I'd definitely pick her. Because A, she was actually free, and I like free stuff. Guy came into the store one day and said, "Hey, I need this chain and this chain." Hooked him up with his chains. He asked if I liked working on saws. I was like, "Yeah, I like working on saws." So I got this saw, let my buddy use it, which is a great start to any story in regards to power tools. I let my buddy use it and give back all messed up. Kid you not, the only thing that was wrong with this, yeah, you can't really see it, but there's a rod that goes from your carburetor up here back to your throttle trigger. And on these Jonsereds and on Huskies and pull-ons, there's a little plastic bit that goes on the end of your throttle rod, and that plastic bit just fell off. So I ordered a new rod, put the new rod in, and dude, I mean, she goes. A few things were loose. I did replace the, like I said, the muffler, because catalytic converters on two-strokes are dumb. And I replaced the decompression valve, because the one that was on it was getting kind of gummy, and I didn't like that, so I switched it out. Yeah, I mean, super easy to work on. I guess one final thing is that this saw does not have fancy pants fuel and oil caps like the Stihl does. Stihl has fancy pants, flip up, quarter turn, easy peasy lemon squeezy caps. I mean, you shouldn't need a tool to do your fuel and oil caps regardless, because, you know, if you're really reefing on her, that's a problem. It does have a cutout for a standard focus, for a standard scrunch, which, in case you didn't know, big end on most of your scrunches is 3/4 of an inch or 19 millimeters. Little end is 1/2 inch or 13 millimeters. Anyway, sits right there on the cap, gives you a little something extra to crack her open. And like I said on the Stihl, come here. Fancy pants, flip that up, quarter turn, up, open, good to go. Stick it in, quarter turn, flip it down, done. Now I have heard with these caps, if you're in the middle of summer and it's real hot and you're running the piss out of your saw and your fuel tank warms up, the gas evaporates, and when you flip this up and crack it open, if you crack it open real fast, you'll get gas spraying out of your tank, which for most people isn't a huge deal. But I heard that, you know, guys out there fighting forest fires and all that had some issues. But with these caps, you don't have that issue because there's really no way to get these things open quickly. But I'm not a professional. I'm just a guy out in the woods cutting up some dead stuff. There's that big tree I was talking about earlier. We might play with that here in a bit. Just because, I mean, it's already down. It's not going anywhere. It's not hurting anything, but why not? They don't burn firewood out here, but they got lots of land and they let me come out here and play. So here's the cookies. There's where y'all were sitting, right there on that little notch I cut out. So anyway, how long is that? Shoot. Alright, this has gone on plenty long enough. We'll move you somewhere else and we'll do something else. Alright, see y'all later.